Yu-Gi-Oh! Mint.com is now TradingCardMint.com. Please check out their selection of over 20,000 cards with prices cheaper than TCG Player. If you like the playmat, it's a playmat for the ARG Circuit Series. I'd recommend checking out ARGCircuitSeries.com to see if you can find an event in your area to get your cool playmat and play some Cardfight Vanguard.
Alright, what is up YouTube? MCool40 here. We're going to be doing a couple of deck profiles here to kind of space out time a little bit and so forth. So guys, if you like what you're seeing, this playmat, this is going to be a special ARG event in the near future for the next set. So guys, if you could, down below in the description is TradingCardMint.com. You guys hear me talk about them every deck profile. If you guys need any cards from future sets or this set, please do check them out. I have a discount code MCool40. It will save you guys yourselves a little bit of money. I heard that it's pretty good and it still works. And I mean, Trading Card Mint's formerly Yu-Gi-Oh! Mint.com, so I mean, they've been here for a long time. So let's dig on into this. So during the first WGP event in Japan, a rather interesting Kagero deck topped, and I pieced it together. Kind of been messing around with it a little bit on the side, and I will say this deck is super fun. This takes advantage of like the new Nouvelle Veg and things like that. Now, not to say anything special or anything, but I mean, having more diversity amongst Kagero decks is good, and I mean, one more fun idea is exactly, you know, one more fun idea. So, what can this bad boy actually do? So let's kind of dig into this so you guys kind of understand what we're doing here. So this deck is all going to fundamentally revolve around this card. This is a very, very old card. This is the better version of Cruel Dragon. So the thing we care about is you reveal it in your hand, choose your grade 2 or greater Cardfight Vanguard, rest it, and during the main phase that your opponent's rear guard's put into the drop zone, you ride this as stand and it gets minus 3k power. I mean, riding a 8k with Twin Drive is pretty good. Like, essentially for what you're going to be doing to your opponent in certain matchups, like, this is going to be good. This punishes super heavy early aggro. It's one of the things I liked about this deck when I first fundamentally saw it was we want a means to kind of take advantage of Cruel Dragon. Decks with superior rides are incredibly good, and especially when you're in a 1-out-of-1 format where your opponent's trying to pressure you, and you get this, like, congratulations, you're able to stride a turn before your opponent. So, superior ride gimmick decks are all the rage at the moment. Now, other grade 3s. 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord. Now, honestly, taking away from what Overlord used to do, you know, the shotgun shells and things like that, trying to kill your opponent with Purge, it's still there. You can still do it. I mean, you just don't have consistent ways to search these. Basically, what you're going to be doing is you're just searching, or you're loading up pieces with force markers and things like this to kind of get yourself into a better situation. So, this is the grade 3s. Now, the thing that made this particular deck interesting was it actually plays Nouvelle Vegs. And the reason I found this so interesting was, cool, you can acquire 13k base, or 15k base for these guys. And these also generate force markers. So you don't feel bad about riding this and then getting those fresh 30k bodies off of striding. Like, that's actually pretty cute. So there's that. And then he was really legit. He played 1 copy of the old Nouvelle Vega as well. Just mainly for the fact that you can Persona Blast, discard the other copies of itself. It's just more or less in other really weird situations, depending on, once again, what you found yourself in these matchups for what you need for your resource pools. Because having engines like this built into the deck, especially if you can superior ride up and sit at grade 4 and, you know, stride, like, you've done your job. So 15k base defense bodies, by the way, super cute. I mean, it's all thanks to OG Cruel Dragon. So there's that. Now, grade 2s are going to be essentially what you're fueling off of Cruel Dragon. So 4 copies of Berserk Dragon. This thing has become a mandatory staple for all of time now. The fact that you get the ability to draw, and also, like, we're not on original Conroe anymore. We don't have to worry about that. I mean, playing this deck fundamentally as you're climbing up ladders, like, you just get more raw advantage out of this than I think really anything else. Now, this deck does play 4 copies of Nouvelle. And this is, once again, you know, you're using this card to pop your opponent's back row. You're doing the thing that you need to do with Cruel Dragon to essentially eat something so that you can superior ride up. Once again, essential fuel for Nightmares. 10k bases. I mean, nothing else too particularly special. And then 3 copies of Nouvelle Critic. This is, you mainly play this to pressure your opponent. As soon as your opponent sees this on rear guard, they're like, why are you playing this? And then you're just like, oh, by the way, on hit pressure, lol. You're using this because every time this thing hits, you get to search for Nouvelles, and those Nouvelles just turn into Stridevotters. Like, once you've achieved the 15k base, like, you've done what you need. So, I mean, on hit pressure, load up columns, you know, your opponent is going to be more inclined to let this hit than the Vanguard, but they see this as like, oh, we have to go after that. And that's what we want with this deck. You want to detour your opponent into pressure cards. Now, grade 1s, 1 copy of Stridevotter. No real explanation needed for this. 1 was fine, especially with the rest of the lineup here. So, we are playing 4 copies of Bar. We have 12 essential cards between Nouvelle, Berserk Dragon, and this to kill something, to make sure that we can get the Spear right off. Those are relatively good numbers. That's what I like to see. So, 4 copies of these. Of course, we're playing Nouvelle, so we may as well play 4 copies of the card that fixes our right chain. You know, playing grade 4s, you do run into issues, but this card does fix your problem, and you can search for Overlords. Also, having these gets you fodder for shotgun shells, which is very important as well. And then, of course, lastly, we're playing 2 copies of Airmo. Combined with killing off of these, getting a counter charge and additional draw off of these, or having these be relatively large attackers, is something that we need in this deck. I mean, honestly, 11 grade 1s can kind of feel clunky, but you just, or light, but you just need to get to 1 of them to ride up. And if you get to the additional bonus of this to climb into Cruel Dragon, you've done what you needed to do. It's relatively cute. Now, starter, 1 copy of Undux. Honestly, like, having played this now, I kind of like it. It sucks you lose Forerunner, but I mean, it is what it is. Heals 1 copy of the Countercharge Binder, and 3 copies of New Gojo, just to kind of make sure that larger trigger values are important. Also, 1 of this, I get why he was doing it. I mean, you can do a 2-2 split, but you run into too many issues. 4 copies of Wyvern Guard, Bari, essential, and then just 8 critical triggers, essentially wrapping out the trigger lineup. Now, this isn't your standard Overlord kill your opponent deck. You have to adjust the G-Zone because, you know, you do other things now. Which means, so 1 copy of Ascengrave. Still probably your best first stride. Killing something and drawing is always really good. Now, you get to be cheeky and you get to go back to 4 copies of Ziegenberg. Those pressure turns on your opponent, killing something and restanding, oh, so good. The original build played 2 of this. I stuck to 3. So, my logic was, Pentadrives are really good, and I want to keep up with those Pentadrives. So, essentially, you have room for the 1 extra copy. I mean, you play some Breeze over 1 of them if you really want. GB8, no real reason not to play this. Once again, you have room for it now. First time ever. 1 copy of Drakkars. Yeah, so broken. G-Guardians, 1 copy of the Flipper, just to kind of speed up the process to GB8 or Drachma. 1 Abdub Salem. Once again, extra power on Vanguard swings is really good. Rooflayer, he's not as good as he once was, especially in this deck, but still may as well play it. And then 3 copies of Denial Griffin. Original list played 1. No thank you. You gotta play 3 copies. Absolutely. Why would we not play one of our best cards in our deck? So that wraps up this deck profile. I think this deck is a lot of fun. It might not be the best tier 1 deck, but you know, looking for new cool ways to kind of exploit things, especially Nouvelle's defense powers, like, it's really cool. So guys, please check out tradingcardmint.com down below in the description. Enter MCO40 on checkout and save you guys yourselves a little bit of money. Alright guys, peace out.